Welcome back, everyone, to The Real Deal with Empire. I'm your host, Ali Fawaz, and today is special. You're listening to Season 2's premiere of the podcast, and we're back with more stories, more strategy, and more real talk than ever before. First off, I want to thank all of you, all of our listeners, our supporters, our real estate enthusiasts and dreamers. Season 1 was an amazing journey, and we uncovered what's behind the hustle, the wins, the failures, and what it takes to actually build something that lasts. But now we're stepping it up. Season 2, it's going to be about bold moves and about real impact that the industry can make. And today's guest is actually somebody whose story feels like the perfect way to kick off this new season. James Mallette was a respected high school principal at Robichaud High School in Dearborn Heights, Michigan. And he led with purpose and helped shape the lives of thousands of students. But about a year ago, he made a radical pivot. He left behind that old passion to follow his new passion in the real estate and construction industry. And today, he's actually a key player in a multi-million-dollar revitalization project that's happening in Cleveland, Ohio, through a partnership with GLH. They are a real estate investment firm with a mission to actually bring 2,000 high-quality, affordable homes to the city of Cleveland. So, James, I want to welcome you to The Real Deal. This is the kind of comeback story that we actually live for here on The Real Deal podcast. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for inviting me out. It's a pleasure to come out here. I love it. We start off season 2 with a bang, because that's what I look like this year is going to be for us. Thank you for this acknowledgement. Yes, I am a former principal at Robichaud High School right here at Dearborn Heights. Go Bulldogs. Bulldog strong. Just a little shameless promotion of that high school that I still love. But so coming into real estate was just a chance for me to really look at the new scope of what I could do, new skills. I have been in leadership management. I have done a lot of multitasking, budgeting, everything else. Some of the same things that we do already with real estate, but I've done it in education. But this was just far more rewarding. One of the issues I saw as a principal actually was that some of my kids, and it really affected their education, but some of them didn't have places even to live. Didn't even have homes. And I also got to see the impact of what happens when a kid does have a home that they can live in, which is one of the visions that Carl Gorman, who is the leader of GLH, was just really about helping people capture that American dream of home ownership, but also to do it with quality, affordable homes. Still build new construction, stuff that you don't have to worry about is this being put together. We do have a remodeling section of our company, which I handle in Detroit, which is my company, YDI, shameless promotion, because it stands for You Deserve It. So
I love that.
You Deserve It remodeling is about not just coming in and doing the bare minimum, but giving you a quality structure, because people are going to live in these houses for years and they don't want something that's going to break apart the second they get there. So that's what we did.
I love the UDI. You deserve it. I love that. So, most people stay where it's safe, right? But you jumped.
Yeah.
Was there a moment where things just clicked?
Well, I'm also, as I said, as being a principal, you have to do a lot of budgeting. I had to factor in everything. I was very meticulous with my exit. I grew up with my father told me, don't cut off your foot to spite your leg, which means make sure you do your proper plan. So I had some other back, avenue ways that I could make sure I could constantly keep the money in, but it was about the change. I knew that this job was going to require a certain amount of time and effort. And it was counterintuitive or just actually contrary to the schedule of a principal. Sometimes I have to be out at these houses at 11, 12 in the afternoon. Sometimes I have to go right after. And then if you're working 70 hours a week as a principal, when do you have time to even look at the houses? The deals that I've been able to close, it's not nearly as many hours, but you have to be ready at a moment's notice in this business. And so I tried to do it, like I'm just going to do it on my time. But what I was finding is it was just slowly developing.
Yeah.
And if you are going to do that, set up your foundation and jump it right in. There was a lot of hesitation, a lot of worry. My wife got sleepless nights, but, I was dedicated. As I told her, there's nothing in this world that I've ever failed at. I've had success everywhere I went. This is just going to be another testimony of where I'm going to have success, because I just always believe this as a person. If it's meant to be,
right,
and it's meant to be by you. So, that's what I do.
Yeah, I like that. I'm a big believer in, risk reward. And sometimes you do have to take that leap, especially if you've got the confidence, right? You think back, you got to insert some of the logic and say, I've done all these things. These are some of the skill sets that I have. These are things that can transfer over from what I was doing as a principal, right? And here's what I've been doing all along in the real estate side. And so then you build up that confidence where at some point you decide, I'm ready to take that jump. And it sounds like you did a lot of thought process before you did that leap, which I think is the right thing to do.
New person, take the time, because I had another friend, he jumped right out and just went straight into it. But he was like, I'm just going to do it. But there's something about client acquisition. This business isn't just, unless you already have everything preset, how long is it going to take you to find the people to buy the house, the houses? How many times on the show? Do you have investors? There's so many different ways to make money in real estate. But it does take time for you to find your niche and where you can, because as soon as you do, you can absolutely blow out any salary that you've been making at a regular job doing this.
Yeah.
But you have to find it. So it's about not just jumping out, but planning it. So I took a lot of time planning what I was doing. Some people say I like overplan, but I have a whole family I have to take care of. So all that responsibility falls on me, and I want to make sure I'm doing the best. So I overplanned it. And I always tell people, find yourself a nice mentor, somebody to talk to. Like I say, for me, Carl Gorman, the leader of GLH, one of my fraternity brothers, Gorman, he's one of the people that I talk to about this. I have contractors and other people that have kind of helped and guide me along the way with how to get this done. I'm new to it, but I'm not arrogant about it.
Right.
I am somebody who's willing, like a sponge. I'm going to absorb all the knowledge. I'm going to sit back and see how everybody operates and make sure that I get all those lessons learned, so that in the next time, because I have a daughter who's going into architecture. This is what she wants to do. Another son, he wants to go into construction. Well, middle daughter.
Sounds like you just started a family business.
I mean, hey, I've learned from a guy, Mr. Fawaz, who's done the same thing. So I'm going to follow in his footsteps too.
I love it. And one of my favorite sayings is, fail to plan to fail. And so I think that is a critical component, is take the time, strategize, plan things out, have a goal, have objectives, write things out so that way you can visualize it. So those are things that I definitely apply when I'm trying to achieve something new or find some kind of successes. It's not like I'm just going to fly by the seat of my pants. So it's a great strategy, if you will. So we're going to make a pivot.
Go ahead.
It's time for one of our favorite segments of the show. We call this Real or Ridiculous, and we're bringing it back from season 1 because it was a hit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw it out at you, some ideas, concepts in the real estate and business world. And James, you're going to respond by either saying it's real or it's ridiculous.
Okay.
So the first one is, affordable housing can't be profitable.
False. Absolute false. That is a ridiculous statement. It absolutely can be profitable. I think some people get caught up on the amount of money they can make per deal, not thinking the amount of deals you can do. Right. So one of the things that GLH is like, because people say, you can make so much money if you go to this place, because then you'd have one crew work on this house and you'd make 200 on the back end on each one. It's like, yeah, I could do that and make one house and make 200. Or I can take that same amount of money and make 8 houses and make 400 if I make, $50,000 on each one of them. So you can frame how you want to get things done. The other thing is a company like GLH and with YDI and other companies we work with, when you have the ability to control the manufacture of the house, the actual building of the house, and you are able to get all of your materials, then you're controlling a lot of the process.
Okay.
It is very much affordable, and there's a lot of cities out there looking for contractors to step up and do this. This is what we want to do right here in Michigan once we get done with Cleveland. We're going to do 2,000 there, and then we're probably or more, and we'll look to do the same thing here. But if you are dedicated to people, I tell people eventually it will pay off because you're going to make people will start flocking to your houses because they'll hear about the quality of the house, and they'll rather go with what they know than the unknown.
Yeah.
And so you make a name for yourself, you'll have a waiting list of people looking to buy your houses. So it's absolutely. And, I can tell you the people that I work with, they are in no way, shape, or form hurting. So if you don't think that there's money in that affordable housing, it's just about, do you want to work? And so, yes, is it more work to make money with affordable housing? Yes. But I've worked very hard as a principal for years educating kids that weren't mine, inspiring kids that didn't have the same father or mother positive influence in their lives. I spent years just pouring myself into other people, and I have no problem doing it because I just feel like there's a greater cause. People having home ownership and a piece of this American dream is no greater thing. Yeah, we can make money hand over fist, only servicing those who have, but those who are just trying to get it, there's no better feeling than helping that family get that first house, or that young couple or that brand new married couple, or the kid who just got his first job's house, So, and that's a real thing right now. People grew up in suburbs, but a lot of them can't afford to get into the suburbs that they grew up in. So affordable housing is going to really help out in this area.
Yeah, I like that. When you can do good and make money at the same time, it's a win-win, right?
Win-win.
So the next question is, every entrepreneur needs to go broke at least once.
So I understand the concept. So
I think this one is a tricky one.
It's a tricky one because I understand what they're trying to say. But all right, so the reason why I understand, all right, I'm going to go back. This is the pedagogy part of it. It's about the lesson learned. Okay, so if you can learn, I've taught kids that I can teach them how to do something, and me telling them, they get it. There's other kids, they have to do it, fail, so they can truly understand it. So I think that question, I think you need to understand what failure looks like and how to overcome it. Go broke? No, you can lose on a deal and learn. Going broke to me is like everything went bad, which means like you might not be in the right position. You might need some help. But I do think everybody needs to fail at one time because that's life. Everything that you try, you're not going to succeed at. But what makes you, determines what type of person you are is what happens next.
Yeah.
Who are you next? How do you respond?
How do you pick yourself back up? Do you pick yourself back up?
Do you pick yourself back up? Do you need help to pick yourself? Are you a self-starter? Or do you need, there are, and people, this is a parenting thing that happens all the time where I'm a certain type of way, so I expect my kid to be this way.
Yeah.
But I always tell parents, just because you're only one half of that kid. And you go down, so you have to figure out how your kid operates. I have 3 kids. None of them act just like me. All of them act a little like me.
Nice.
But you just got to get there. So, I do think you have to have failure. Broke, I'm going to say you shouldn't go broke. You should probably do some stopgap work beforehand. But, I think you need some failure in your life.
I don't know if you're a basketball fan, but I remember last year's playoffs, Giannis lost, and he was sitting at the podium, and I think it was somebody in the media asked him something about, you failed. What does this mean to you? Or this was a failure of a season, or something to that extent. And then he went on to explain that everybody fails at some point. Like that's how you grow. That's how you get to the next level. You learn from that, and then you grow. Even Michael Jordan didn't win every single championship. Does that make him a failure?
Yeah.
No. So I like that. Third question, this is the last one of this segment, is the education system doesn't prepare students to build wealth.
I saw this question. I felt it was a trap question. The education system, it's going to be somewhat controversial. The education system isn't set up to teach you for wealth. It's the complete opposite of that. The education system is set up for the United States of America to build workers. That's what it's always been. We are a working society. We need people to build this country. We need people to make this country go. Regardless of what you may feel about this, we have over 119 million people working every single day. We need more workers. And so the education system is giving students basic skills so they can go and figure out if they want to go do more advanced degree stuff to go learn. But even with that advanced degree, it's for workers.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole thing. We cannot, until we get a society that doesn't need anybody to work anymore, we cannot function as a society for work without workers. So when you say it does not teach them to build wealth, it does not prepare students to build wealth, because that's the antithesis of what the whole process of education is. The education, what you got to think, education is bringing everybody up to a level where businesses and corporations can come and pick people at this level and start working with them to build and gain those skills. It's not for building them up so you can all be entrepreneurs and business owners, because that's a skill set you learn as you go, unless you had mentors and everything like that, like since you were a child. Well, if you're a parent or a father, and you grew up in that. But kids go to school, why? They want to be a fireman, so you learn about the math, learn the skills. You want to be a contractor, you want to be a teacher, nurse, everything. It's never been for wealth. It's always been so that you can build a life and a future for yourself by having a job. So it absolutely does not prepare students to build wealth. And it was never its purpose.
Very eloquently put. I like that response. I would say that's probably spot on. I never looked at it that way until you mentioned it, but it makes absolute sense. It really does. And I think what you had mentioned that kind of resonates is that it's only after the student graduates, goes on, whether they go on, get a further education, get a degree, and still even at that point, it's not necessarily for wealth. It's let's get into the working world. And at that point is where you kind of filter out, figure out what you're going to do.
Wealth is not a natural thing. And I'm going to say this. Wealth is not a natural thing for humans. Right? It's not something that kids wake up as a kid and you want to be wealthy. Right? That's just something that we see. The nature of every human being, like I don't care what your religious beliefs are or whatever, people want to be around people that love them and that they love. And they want to do fun things around them. So a family in and of itself, if everything's taken care of, they'll go on vacation, they'll do stuff. It's not about, but why do we care about what, when I was a kid, I'll tell this, I had no clue about shoes. I could care less what type of shoes my father brought home because I didn't get to have lights, Snoopy, or anything else. I didn't start caring about shoes until I went to school. Then it was about, well, what type of shoes do you have?
You have to get those J's.
Now that's when you build the wealth. Kid want to be a doctor, but they want to be a doctor now. But this comes to money. Well, I want to be a teacher. I love teaching. They'll make enough money so people change their careers. So that's what I tell people. It's all that wealth thing is it's a construct where we're constantly trying to get this money and work it and become richer and richer and richer. But it's just not natural for us to be like, this is just what you have to be. And in this society, I tell people, if there's a choice between being broke and rich, I will tell everybody, go for rich. Because broke sucks. But it's...
Did you come up with that on your own?
I don't want to take credit for it, but there's a choice between being broke and rich. Go and be rich because it's going to be a lot better. But that shouldn't be the end all be all.
Right.
I want to be a good person.
Yeah.
Rich is relative to everybody. That's what it's relative to me. I've never been broke. I don't consider myself rich. I've always been taken care of, and so has my family.
Yeah.
Always will be.
Yeah, I guess what makes one rich, it's not always dollars and cents. It's love from family.
Because I can ask everybody in this room, and she might say, well, rich is $1 million. You might say rich has got to be $100 million. I mean, if you don't got $1 billion, and she's over here $1 billion. That's it.
Well, inflation.
Inflation, yeah. I need at least 10. Who's going to pay for this stuff? You see where we're at right now? You think this is on location?
I like it. All right. Now let's talk about the Cleveland project. GLH has a plan to build 2,000 homes. That is 2,000 homes, guys. And that city is actually on board in a way that most developers only dream about. Land for $1 is what I was reading, so I did a little bit of the homework. And a 15-year tax abatement, and grants as well. Like, can you elaborate on some of the stuff?
So most cities have land banks, where people have lost their house due to taxes. The bank give them back to the city. The city has to hold these properties, and they usually put them in land banks. And then sometimes developers come along and they buy them, but then it becomes a game of are you development? And the city doesn't have a plan to really manage a lot of these things. Mm-hmm. So Cleveland had like almost 12,000 houses, and GLH came to approach, and we had just did a project in Houston where I think it was a brand new subdivision. They wanted something like this. The mayor knew GLH and was like, can you do this? He was like, I can, but like, what is it going to be? And it was actually Carl from GLH that wanted to know, like, well, if we do this, I want a 15-year tax abatement for everybody who buys the house, which means that they're not going to pay taxes for 15 years. Why? Because that's going to help them with their home ownership. The dream of home ownership for Americans is right back. So half of your mortgage, you don't have to pay taxes on.
Wow.
And that's huge for our people in there. So what we're looking at is we want Cleveland to be the model so that we can take it to other cities. Because the plan is we want to put 2,000 people in these homes. Mm-hmm. That's going to increase the tax revenue around the city for those people working and living around there and buying and stuff around there. Even though they don't collect the actual taxes from the 2,000 houses, the rest of the taxes they pay just in their daily, everyday living will still help advance the cities. So we wanted to do that right there in Cleveland, and we're going to do the same thing in multiple cities from Atlanta, Detroit, San Diego, Indianapolis, everywhere. That's what we're going for. And quality homes. Some are wood, but we're also doing steel built, solar panels. It's going to have the EV chargers in the garage. And these are going to be top quality houses that we're going to put together and ready to go.
So you're telling me that GLH is the one who proposed to the mayor of Cleveland that 15-year tax abatement not for GLH.
No,
it's for the residents that would be purchasing the homes. Because we're very familiar. We all often hear some billionaire wants to build a stadium in downtown, and they want the taxes to be right for their benefits them. Right.
Yeah. So he's got the 15-year tax abatement, but that tax abatement goes to the houses. Wow. So the people who buy those houses will get 15 years of not paying taxes. And that, for a young couple, brand new family, young family.
Oh, it's huge.
It's huge. Yeah. It's the difference in what you can afford to even buy, depending on where you're at. And now you're in Cleveland, so you're near a major city. So you can be close to where you need to travel, get to work, and everything else. It's a great program.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it is. So you've gone from leading students to now helping families get to a point where they can get into quality homes. Mm-hmm. How does that mission of community building carry over?
My personal belief in life is that we are all put on this earth not to be by ourselves. Okay. I have a more universal religious outlook where I just believe that we're all brothers and sisters. I don't believe that anybody on this earth is any different. It's just societal norms that shade our view of people. But I have 2 eyes, 1 nose, 2 ears. I have, a wife, I have kids. I'm a nice person. I don't care how you live your life, just as long as you don't try and mess with mine or hurt anybody I love with, general things. So when I was a teacher, I got to see the part of the world most people don't see. See, because if most kids can go to school and they can spend 4 years in high school and not even know what some of their classmates are going through. Yeah. Not even have a clue some of the horrible situations their classmates are in. But I got to see it and know why this kid is acting like this. Know why this kid is having this, and this family is going through all these issues, and why we're having all these behaviors. So I got to see it, and I'll tell you, structure. The most successful kids always have structure. Mm-hmm. And what does it mean? They know what time they are going to be woken up in the morning. They know what time they're going to be dropped off. They know what time they're going to be picked up. They know that it's going to be somebody at home when they get home. They know it's food, all that structure. Homes help build structure. Yeah, structure. Because you know where you're going to go. And when I was in school, we had the same house from kindergarten all the way through high school. I still drive past it. I know exactly where that house is, because I had structure. And that was a comfort. It was a comfort every time I had to fill out my address because it was the same address. And people knew how to get in contact with me. And that's something that's just been kind of stripped away from people.
Yeah, comfort, stability, it's all those things.
Yeah, and so what does it mean in real estate? Well, real estate for me is if I can provide that home, if I can provide a nice one, where it's affordable. And what I mean by affordable, I need you to be able to pay the mortgage, but also be able to have some money that if anything happens, you can fix it. Because that's the one thing I see in the rehab game. It's not that they couldn't afford the home; they could just afford the home. They couldn't afford the maintenance and the upkeep of the home. So some of these homes are in complete disrepair, but they just need somebody who can afford to even do the upkeep. We want to make sure we can provide you with a house that has low upkeep, done with quality material, so you don't have to, keep going. I've seen some people do some horrible rehabbing.
Yep.
But we want to do quality material, so something that we know is going to last for a long time. And we just feel like that's one step that we can give. I've done education, I've helped out, and I've seen kids have a lot of parent support, but if that house situation is bad, like it's hard for them to get to school. It's hard for them, So I just feel like I'm helping out. I'm just going in a different avenue.
Yep.
Which directly was one avenue I saw that was majorly affected when I was working as a principal.
What would you say to someone listening who's sitting in their current job, dreaming of a new path?
I would say research it. I believe that, whoever you believe in, I don't want to get too religious, but I believe that we all have callings, sir. And I say callings with an S. Before I was a principal, okay, I used to do this thing with my kids called Two Truths and a Lie. All right? And I would play this game with them, and they would never get it. I said, all right, I have a dog named Max. I once did stand-up comedy on Comic View, and I have also ridden a plane from America all the way to Great Britain. And they're like, well, what's the lie? I don't have a dog named Max. And they're like, you did comedy? I was like, yeah. And I was really good at it. I was a comedian. And I was like, how are you a principal comedian? I was like, because we all have multiple talents. Okay? We all have multiple talents. So if you're looking at if you are not satisfied with the current career, you want to take a jump into real estate, I would tell you to do the research, but take the jump. Take the jump. If nothing else, go take the test. Go find something that you can do from field inspector to just doing open houses so you can get your feet wet with it. See if this is even something you like, because it's a completely different schedule. I would say that's been the hardest thing for me is adjusting to the real estate schedule, which is more relaxed than, it's more relaxed than, it's nonstop.
Yeah.
My phone constantly rings, but it's not as intense as it was when you'd have major things. And I would say prepare yourself. I am somebody who likes to say, my wife, I consider myself frugal. My wife uses a very derogative term that we won't use here. But I like to say, look, I just want to make sure everything's taken care of. So there are static jobs. You work the job. No matter what you do, whether you're good or bad, you get paid. So if the job is $50,000, you can be the worst employee ever, but as long as you show up to work every day, you're going to get that $50,000.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the first type of job. Then you have your merit type pay, which is the more work you do, the more money you make. All right. Which is good. Principal is not that. No matter how hard you work, it's static.
Stay static.
If you work 70 hours or 50 hours, you're still going to get the same pay. So you lose motivation at times when you feel like you're working hard, but you're not getting that recognition. And then you got the exponential pays where you can do something now that will pay you forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like in real estate, when you really get into this, you save your money up, you get a couple of rental properties that are nice. You're talking about something that will pay you for the work you did last year for the next 10, 20 years, So, and that's just the added benefit. But it's patience. I would tell everybody, patience. Do not think that you're going to come in and set the world on fire. I've seen people do that. The second 2-3 deals go bad, they're out. And they're right back working at their previous job because they want to go back to the safety and the stability of the static.
They didn't care enough. Yeah, it comes down to safety and stability.
Safety and stability.
Yeah.
That's it. And the sad fact about it is people will run back to that safety. And trust me, if you're feeling like I'm somebody above that, please know I'm not. I've had to go through those same emotions, those same feelings. Like maybe I should just go back to being the principal where I can. But every time I think about it, it's like, but think about how much money I just made doing this. Like, what if I just switch on and do something else? It's no comparison. And when the checks come, I'm like, yeah, this is way different than being a principal. And what month are we in? We're in May? Yeah. This is way different than being a principal. So, I've definitely enjoyed it. Talk with your people, get the support, but definitely take that test. You'll never know. You'll miss, like, my father used to say this, like, when I was like, man, I don't know if I should shoot when I played basketball because I was a horrible basketball player. But, I thought I was going to grow like my brother, but I never did. But he's like, you miss 100% of shots you don't take? And I was like, I remember hearing that later on, like, TV. I was like, my dad said, he's like, no, I stole that too. So, like, I thought that was one of my father's. It's not. It's something. But yeah, you're going to miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And real estate, if that's what you want to go into, take the shot. I will tell you this much. It is very much worth it. It is. It's rewarding.
Some sound advice right there. So let's talk dollars and cents.
Yeah.
You've already secured 90% of the construction costs for that project. You're looking for that final 10% to activate the engine, if you will. What's in it for investors?
So for our GLH, Carl has an investment team that people, if they would like to go on to glhllc.net, they could. But I would definitely, contact him. But that is something where you can actually get 10 to 15 to even sometimes up to 20% return on your money. But we start off right now at 10 to 12% return on your money. Investors are doing this. There's people that have money and it's just sitting. And it's sitting and it's not making, any of this type of interest at the bank. So you're talking about 10% back on your money. People are lining up to get it. And these are just the numbers that we have for right now. Like, it's growing. The more of these houses that we, start to build, you'll see even more money. But a 10% return on your money, that's at least 3 times better than anything you're going to get at the bank.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So absolutely. I would definitely tell the bank for that, just to make sure they look out for that.
You guys heard it here. All right. So now we're going to go into our quick round. Off the top of your head, craziest thing you've learned about construction?
The craziest thing I learned about is about construction, but it was about, I'm not going to say the city, but I found out there was a city that instead of letting us do the rehabs, they decided they were going to do it themselves. And they were spending $350,000 in construction rehab bills for a house that they were selling for $250.
Oh,
that was that city's plan for attacking affordable housing. I'm not going to say what city it is, but if you're struggling as a city with affordable housing and you need somebody to come in and game plan it, please do not overspend to lose money on a house because they've done this multiple times. We would love to sit down, work with you on a plan, take up some of that land, and work on a plan to really just tell them how many more heads or families do you need in the house, in that neighborhood, in that city. And we would love to come there and show you. But that's the crazy thing. When I found out their total bill was over $500,000 and that house sold for $243,000.
That's definitely a crazy thing. Biggest mindset difference between being a principal and being a developer?
The biggest mindset difference was about trusting the process and knowing that. So the safety net of being a principal is no matter what you do, that check's gonna come.
Yeah.
So when you're out here just tight rope walking, and you don't know if the next check is gonna come,
it sows a little bit of doubt in your mind.
So the mindset is like, trust that you've done the work. We always talk about seed time and harvest. Plant the seeds, the fruit will come. Plant the seeds, the fruit will come. So what I had to do is the mindset is I don't get to see my fruit every 2 weeks. But when I do, I get a harvest. Okay? Some people just get their little bag of fruit every 2 weeks. The bag of fruit every 2 weeks. Bag of fruit every 2 weeks. I may not get a bag of fruit for a month. But when I do, I get bushels. So, so that's the one thing that understand how the business works. And make sure you get somebody supportive. Thank God to my wife, Erica. Love you. Thank you. She has been very supportive of everything I've done. But that's one thing my state of understanding that this is your business. You do not get to just get paid just for showing up. Right. You get paid for what you do. And if you do well, you'll get paid well.
Mm-hmm. One book you recommend for every entrepreneur?
Millionaire Real Estate Agent is the one that I had read. I have the audiobook. It's funny because when I go on road trips, I actually still listen to it. I listen to it because there's different parts about it. How do you invest your money? What are you looking at? What are you spending your time on? You have to inspect what you expect. You have to really get into what your business is and break down what you're looking for. I have a lot of different ideas, but the real estate game is so large.
Yeah.
It's way larger. Like from the outside looking in, all I thought was, you just gonna show houses.
Simple as that.
Show houses. You go to the computer, find me a house, 3 bedrooms, click, 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 boop, boop, boop. 5 seconds later, I got 1,000. Just go look at it and buy. When you're actually in it, oh my God, this is way more complicated. This takes a lot more time. People that don't understand that they don't understand what it really takes. So that's the one thing I would say to everybody.
All right. Last one. The real deal in one word.
Innovating.
Okay. Yeah. I can like that a lot, actually. I think it's very relevant.
I like how you do
it. James, your story is exactly why the show exists. So thank you for that. You made a courageous pivot. You're building something that's massive, and you're still centered on people and purpose. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for joining us and kicking off our season 2 with a great story. I think you've kind of set the bar. So thank you for that. Any final words you want to share?
No. If you have any time, James Mallette, Empire Realty Group, make sure you come out and check me out. YDI Remodeling. You can always find me at YDI Remodeling LLC at gmail.com. If you need any home improvements and if you need anything done with realtor, it's MalletteJames at gmail.com. Mallette James, last name to first name. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been fun. Kicking out the season 2, I feel like I'm a superstar. But I will make sure that this has been fun. I definitely enjoyed it, everything about it. Would love to come back, show you some of the progress we've done, maybe next year of what we're done on the project. So,
I think that's a great idea. Maybe we start showing some of the work that's happening. I like that a lot.
Right.
That's a wrap for episode 1 of season 2, folks. If today's conversation lit a fire under you, follow us. Follow us on Instagram. You can also follow us on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And please make sure that you're not only following us, but leave us some feedback, please. We'd love to hear from you guys. It'll help us bring more stories like James into your feed as well. So until next time, keep building, keep believing, and as always, keep it real. Thank you, guys.